Hello and welcome to my presentation. My name is Yuri. I'm from Ukraine. I'm co-founder of Wikimedia Ukraine, very active editor, etc., etc., etc. You can find my contacts here. And that is an example of a wiki site. It's a wiki site about a small town in Chernihiv region in Ukraine. It looks like Wikipedia, it works like Wikipedia, but it's in another domain, wikinosivka.info. Here is the plan of my presentation. I will tell you why do you need your own wiki, which are hosting options, installation, filling the wiki with content, community development, support, and maintenance and promotion. Why do you need your own wiki? There are several reasons. One of them, it's the same when you edit Wikipedia to create something valuable, lasting, and to leave mark in history, create content, and develop your native language. Another reason is to get to know a certain subject more deeply. I showed you a previous slide, and when I created this Wikinosivka website, it's my small homeland, and during the creation I get into its history, geography, present development. Every one of us was challenged by Wikipedia restrictions, Wikipedia limits. First of all, it's notability criteria. If you want to create, you think it's notable, it's important to share with people, but it doesn't satisfy notability criteria, which are quite high in Wikipedia. Second restriction is style. In Wikipedia, you should use encyclopedic style. In your own website, you can change this, and for example, someone memories or you can publish even books or whatever you want, anecdotes, receipts. You are also not restricted with limitations of using primary or secondary sources. You can allow people to do original researches. And also licenses. You know the problems with licenses, and for example, if you have oral permission from the person, you are certain about the reliability of this person, of the author of the work, so he just tell you, well, you can use my work, and I will not object. And also you set the policies, the rules. Of course, you should use common sense in that. Also, if you create a wiki site in certain area, you will become more visible, more notable. For example, in Wikinosivka, when I created this website, everyone, every authority in this region knows me personally because it's a kind of media. It includes local experts, intelligentsia, media, government, business. And also you are able to unite around your wiki site a community of like-minded people. When I created this website of this city, I also was able to influence the development of events because it's powerful media. When there was election campaign, there were more than 5,000 visits to that site, because there were programs of candidates, there biography of candidates to deputies. And also, when you create your own website, you will get to know MediaWiki more deeply and see it from the side of administrator, because you will administrate it yourself. And also, you can think about monetization, about advertising on the website. There are two options of hosting, free and your own hosting. There are advantages and disadvantages. Advantage of free hosting is it's free. You don't have to pay for it. And you don't need to update content management system. You also don't need to have some technical knowledge. For example, there are different options for free hosting. One of them is Wikia or Fandom. What are disadvantages of free hosting? It's not always, but mostly. You have restrictions in choosing your domain name. There is nothing free, as we know, except Wikipedia. But for example, if you use Wikia, it's a lot of advertising. It's not your advertising, but advertising of other people. You lack of choice of supplier, and de facto only Fandom. Probably you know another options to use free hosting, but I know only Fandom. Also, when I created a website on Fandom, it was impossible to transfer it to another hosting. They don't allow it. There is also a lack of possibility of fine-tuning, limitation of choice of skins, etc. You are not also able to create your own extensions. It's for developers. If you are developers, then you are able to create your own modules, own extensions. You are not able to experiment with templates, CSS, etc. Also, for example, I like interface of Wikipedia, and I don't like interface of Fandom. And you are not sure about the preservation of this website. So I created several sites on the Wikia, and they were closed, shut. And also you have lack of guarantee of technical support, especially if you need very operative answers. And also if you are not familiar with English, it's you need to contact technical support only in English. It's example of free hosting on Wikia on Fandom site. You see the advertising of IQOS, so it's not good. It's by the way, it's site about Encyclopedia of Civil Society in Ukraine, and now it has 1,160 articles as well. If you want to create your website, first of all, it's not. First of all, you have to use a content management system. It's a computer software used to manage the creation and modification of digital content. And on this link, you can find an article with comparison of different wiki software. My choice was MediaWiki because Wikipedia is on MediaWiki, and you have a web page of this content management system. Next one. Process of installation. First of all, you have to select your domain and zone. You can name your domain whatever you want if it's free, but I would recommend you to use wiki or info because wiki is much more expensive than info. And usually domain names are sold by hosting company. You have to find a hosting company in your country or international hosting company and check the prices. And as I told, the price depends on the zone. And also the price depends on the size of your website, speed of access, and hosting must provide support for MySQL database and PHP language. Practically 100% of hosting company provides these abilities. Then you have to link your domain to hosting. It's also you can do it with contact of your hosting company. Then hosting company provide you with a control panel of your website, and you have to create a database user and link a user to database, and also set access password. It's not difficult. And also hosting company can help you with this. After that, you have to download the software from MediaWiki website. It's addressed to the website MediaWiki.org, and you have to upload it into the directory, and usually it's public HTML directory on your hosting. Then you just go to your website, like www.mywiki.com, and the software will start its installation. During installation, you will be asked to specify the database name, username, and password. And sometimes you need to set up using control panel of appropriate PHP version. Current MediaWiki requires PHP version 7.3.19 or higher, and not 7.4. Also, MediaWiki will check what PHP extensions are on your hosting, and will ask to switch on some extensions. For example, MediaWiki asks when I install the wiki, to install file info. When you receive this message, start installation, select configure, when the installation is finished, there is also option to configure further installation. So usually I select configure further and mark everything that is offered, extensions, skins, and anti-spam options. All information for configuration is during installation is automatically generated and stored in one text file, and the name of this file is local setting PHP. And if you need some further configuration, you should make changes in this file. By the way, the latest version of MediaWiki include visual content editor. So your users of your website will be able to use not only text editor, but visual editor. Previously, it was quite difficult to install additionally visual editor. At the end of installation, you will get a message that local setting has been created, and you should manually upload it to the same directory as usually it's public HTML. And you can start filling your website and do in parallel development your website and develop the functionality, additional functionality of your website. On some hosting company, they enable service mode security, and I would recommend you to switch off it. Then you have to start configuration of your MediaWiki website. For example, if you want to change your name of the main page, you should go to MediaWiki main page. Just look for this article for this page in your wiki, and you will be able to change the name of main page. Also, if you want to remove the header, the name of the page from the main page, then you can change MediaWiki Commons CSS. If you want tools under the edit windows, when you edit in text regime, in text option, then it's MediaWiki Edit Tools page. If you want to change side menu, it's MediaWiki sidebar. Also, it's useful to have on your site special windows to propose user to create page, because some of them doesn't know that they can, how to create a new page. And if they see the window create page, it's easier for them to start editing. For that, you have to install so-called extension, and its address where it is located. It's also easy to, you just have to upload this extension and write a line in your configuration, in your local setting PHP file. This process is very clear and very simple, and it's explained on this page. If you want so-called favorite icon, it's a little icon which is on the top of in your browser. Then create your own PNG file. What do you want? How do you want to look like? And then change its name to favicon ICO and place it in the root of your directory. Next one. Also, you have to change logo. Also, it's possible to get access for your wiki to the commons. So it's if you have free images, you don't have a need to upload them to your wiki. You can upload them to commons and create access for that. Also, you have to add Google Analytics, and it's for that you need extension and ability to download files to your ability to upload. Sorry, it's error to upload files to your wiki. After it's configured, you have to fill it with content to think about system of categorization and to develop the root categories. For main purposes, there are people, institutions, organizations, etc., places, locations, things. It's what doesn't go into those three categories. You can name whatever you want, but you have to find a category for other things. And also I have root categories, spheres and time. Then you have to create your main page. It's very good if the content on your web page will be dynamic, so it will change every day. So it's good to create separate articles for every day and configure that those separate articles are changing on the main page. Okay. Also, you have to think about adaptive design, so the content of your site will adapt to your device. If you have wide screen, then it's 4 columns. If you have more narrow, then 3, etc. If you use smartphones, that it's good if the site will automatically fit into 1 column. Then you have to find content owners and agree with them about possibility to move their content to your website. Also, when you create your wiki, then think that it is good when you can navigate from the main page to any other page in two. It's better when it's in one, but two or maximum 3 clicks. Otherwise, it's hard for people to navigate your content. Then the most hard or most challenging thing is to develop community around your website. For example, when developing this website Nosivka, I go to school. I already had 2 meetings and plan another one in a week to explain students of high school, which are 15, 14 years, how to edit. I explain them how to edit Wikipedia. I explain them how to edit those private wiki sites. And also, there is a term, Wikipedian passionality. It's number of editor per number of some community. For example, if you are talking about passionality of Ukrainians, it's the number of editor per million inhabitants or million speakers. In different countries, in different environments, it's different. For example, in Estonia, it's 200 editors per million of inhabitants. In Ukraine, it's 20. In Russia, is 10, for example. But I calculated that in Ukraine, for every 1 million, for every 20,000 people, there is only 1 active editor. So if you have a community of, let me say, 20,000 people, it is only 1 active editor. It's very difficult task to find editor for your wiki site. Nevertheless, sometimes, for example, in this wiki Nosivka, I have 5 editors. The majority of articles, 90% are created by myself, but other 10% are created by other people. Also, you have support, and and one very interesting thing, SAP company has a grant program, Meet and Code, and it allows you to create an event for young people to learn them to code. It can be it can be different kind of codes. You can learn JavaScript, or you can learn whatever you want. I learn people to create wiki code and edit Wikipedia. It's very simple to get this. This is it's small, but it's very. You have to create only 1 event, and you get about 500 euros for that. 5 minutes, right? If we are talking about support and maintenance, then you need monitoring and moderation it, because sometimes you will get on the main page something like some not good information. So every morning when I get up, I'm looking for the site, looking for new edits, and in 2 years there were, in 3 years there were 3 situations when I had to block editor and to recover content. Also, it's interesting to analyze your Google Analytics, number of users, visits, detection, the most popular pages. Also, you have to make a periodic dumping of your entire site. You have to install a new version of MediaWiki and add more space for hosting. Next thing is promotion. First of all, you have to add your URL of your website, of your site for Google. You have to create a sitemap XML. Its additional extension has to be added to your wiki. To create a group on Facebook, to link exchange, to think about publication in mass media, publication in scientific journals, to make reports on conference like that. For example, if you are talking about its example from printed media about this wiki site. Next thing you can think in the very end about monetization. I am not specialist in that, but you have to consider possibility of grants, of advertising and donation. And that's practically all I wanted you to say. So if you have questions, I'm here. Thank you. Are there questions?
Can you show us your website, your website?
Yes, I will. I have to go to. Igor, can you help me, please? Yeah. Just go to browser.
Yeah, here it is.
Okay. Here it is.
Brilliant, you are in front of the projector in the way.
I'm sorry. So today you can see who was born. You can see number of articles. It's 2,700. And one more important thing. When I was developing this website, I created about 100 new articles in Wikipedia because I found things that are notable not only for this region but also for Wikipedia. And you see this create new article button, so just click and you can create this article. This doesn't exist in Wikipedia. Also here is a site menu. Here we can find new edits, for example. And it's also like yellow pages because, for example, it's possible to create a page, an article about a shop. And for example, shop Fora was opened on 1st of UC. Also, there is article for every day. If you see the calendar category, there are 367 pages. You can click on any, and you'll find that someone got hero of socialist, etc. So it's usual wiki as Wikipedia. Well, and one more thing I want to show you. Just a second, it's here. Mito is custom duty. Mito wikiua.info. Wiki, it does doesn't work. Make a wiki UA. I don't know the reason, but so I reserved bought a domain wikiua.info. So I create many different wiki sites in this subdomain. This is well, it doesn't work here. You can look for new edits here, for example, and see what happened here. I do it every day. You can, we are talking about people. Well, let me see. Let me show you here. One more minute. Well, the people are by names. If you press some, I don't know, this, for example, this, you can find 78 people in category P, etc. Any other questions?
In how long period did you build that?
Let me see. Let me see. It's on the main page. How to click it?
It's loading. It's loading.
It's loading. Oh, let me see here. It was just a second. History. How to scroll it? I don't see. Oh, it's history. Right. History. It was in February of 2019, and also there are. I wanted to show you many different things here. It's history. It's, by the way, there are sister projects. Other people were sought my site and created, for example, it's encyclopedia of another city, Wiki Bilgorod. It's Akermanica. It's also was in Russian вдохновенные, натхненными. I don't know how to say it in English, but inspired, yes, by this. And there are also different websites which look like that. Encyclopedia of Zhedachi region, etc. So my plan is to create a network of hundreds of these sites, of local websites, to preserve local history of Ukraine.
And then take over the world.
Yes. And here, there is also a web page about publication about this website. Every year there are several different publications, including the publication in the. Just a second, I want to show you a very important thing. It's most encyclopedic journal of Ukraine. It's most valuable scientific journal of Academy of Science of Ukraine. And there is article about this website. Here, you can see. What else? No, that's all, probably that's all. And here are my contacts, etc. Okay, thank you.
Is this your computer? Yes.
Hello, everyone. It's me again. And this time, yeah. Yeah, so this is a session about WikiLearn. If you didn't mean to be here and want to be in the other session, please feel free to change, no problem. And Yes. Okay. So today, briefly, a tour of WikiLearn, the new online learning platform built by the Wikimedia Foundation for the entire movement. And you are asking yourselves, what is WikiLearn and why do I need it in my life? So we want, as our strategy says, to become the essential infrastructure of the ecosystem of free knowledge. To do that, we have to invest in skills development and in leadership development. The strategy says that as well. So that is a given. And we know, you know, from your experience in the movement that there is a great need for clear, up-to-date information, documentation, tutorials, training resources, things that are not just reference information, but guides, things that really take a beginner step by step and teach. And there is a great need for such resources across the movement, certainly in many languages. Additionally, many of the existing materials that we already have are underutilized, even by people who would have used them had they known they exist. So we have some documentation, some of it is out of date, etc., but even the good documentation that exists is not discovered by the people who need it. So that's another issue. And some of that material is incomplete, was started and never finished, or is unmaintained and secretly unmaintained, meaning it looks like it documents what the situation is, but actually it was just abandoned or forgotten and is not up to date, but it doesn't say that it's not up to date. It doesn't have that little template that says, this is historical. You know, you read it and it looks like it documents something that's current, but it isn't.
It's out of date in the second and it's up.
Yeah, yeah. And of course, many things we just don't have training materials at all for. In fact, some of you may have attended my tutorial on Lexeme yesterday. It is the first ever tutorial on Lexeme. Until yesterday, no one has delivered a 2-hour length, like a real tutorial for beginners on Lexeme that I'm aware of, or at least they haven't shared it. I couldn't find any such material across Commons or Meta. Now there is. But there's a lot of stuff that's still missing some good training materials. So there's also access. We do a lot of training, we used to do a lot of training in person at conferences like these and at national wiki conferences sometimes. And that's great. And there's nothing better than in-person teaching. But there's always the question of access. There will always be the people who are not in the room, people who cannot be in the room, who will never be in the room, either because they have mobility challenges or because they have a language barrier and cannot benefit from training, etc. So access to the existing resources is also an issue. Yes, we just said that. And online learning can address many of these shortcomings. It's online, people can consume it at their own time, in their own circumstances. There are many, many benefits, and online learning will reach many people. There's also the anonymity issue, right? Some people don't want to preserve their anonymity and will not show up to in-person events. And we can reach those anonymous contributors as well with online learning. Of course, it has its downsides as well. It's not as good as in-person training. So, excuse me. So what would be ideal? What would we want from an online learning platform? Ideally, we would want a platform that has structured and up-to-date learning resources for everyone to study. We want the materials available in multiple languages so that the text of the training material is translated, but also videos. We definitely want to use videos in instruction. So videos, if not really dubbed, at least have the subtitles translated, right? So that the video content is accessible as well. We want to have volunteers able to contribute learning materials, not just consume learning materials, right? We want the platform to be open for people to author learning materials. we want there to be some kind of feedback mechanism for learners. If we're really trying to teach people a new skill, it helps to have exercises, assignments that allow people to practice. And of course, when they submit their answers, it should be private. Most people don't want their homework to be on a wiki page publicly for other people to see mistakes they've made, etc. Or maybe the exercise itself includes some non-public information. I will give you an example of that later. So we want grading and also automated assessments, things that the computer itself grades to be available for self-study. We also want to enable human-taught courses so that people could really submit like a written assignment, and then a human instructor would check the work, not a computer that would just check if you pick the right checkbox, but a mechanism for someone to submit like a Word document that answers some open-ended question, and then have a human instructor that is teaching the course actually check it and provide written feedback on that assignment. And that we want that supported as well. And we want the materials on the system to be easy to fork and modify, right? Forking is a term from free software, right? To clone, to copy to your own copy, and then with your own copy you can do whatever you like. So we want people to be able to look at a nice course and say, oh, I love this, now I want it in my language, or I want to create a slightly shortened version of it so that I can deliver it to people because this part is not relevant for my community. So we want it to be easy to just take it, copy it, change it, translate it, and reuse it. Ideally, right? Ideally, we would want that. And of course, we would want it to be free software. That's kind of a given. So how did we go about it? This problem space of learning and with all the requirements that we just mentioned is enormous. And we decided to experiment with a learning management system that is a piece of software that is already designed to do just that. And we experimented with a platform called Moodle. Maybe some of you have encountered it in universities, etc. And we ran 2 interactive human-taught courses, meaning it wasn't like a set of recorded videos, it was an interactive course where you would show up at a given time to have a live video lesson. And we ran 2 courses on that pilot platform. The 2 courses were on strategic topics. One was identifying and addressing harassment, taught by my colleague Simona Ramkissoon, and one on introduction to partnership building, taught by me. We developed the curricula for these 2 courses in English, and we taught it for 8 weeks in 2021 in live, like I said. And they were written assignments that were graded by us. Why did we do it this way? Some of our design considerations. The idea was that we would teach principles, and the learners would apply the principles in the written assignments, with written feedback on real-life tasks, not examples that we give, but people would work on their actual community context. So the grades, of course, were personal and private. The lessons, those live lessons, were recorded, and those videos are now available inside the platform for the learners, but they're now also available on Commons after we anonymized them a bit. So we removed specific examples that people gave that were, you know, of their own local context that we didn't want to put up on Commons. So we removed that. We replaced it with more general examples that I made up. But those videos are now available for everyone on Commons of the course. And the assignments that we created were designed so that they would add up for each learner to a toolkit that would be useful for them. So for example, in my course on partnership building, each assignment handled a particular aspect of what you need in order to create partnerships. You need a mission statement, you need a partnership pitch, you need an evidence toolkit, you need a plan. All of these were built week by week during the course, so that when you ended the course, if you've done the homework, if you've done the assignments, you were much better prepared to pursue a particular partnership that you've been working on throughout the course. You picked a potential partner and you built your toolkit towards that partnership. And we even have a graduate of this course in this room. So We also wanted it to be easy to integrate with your Wikimedia identity, so you could log in to the platform using your Wikimedia account. So you don't need another password in your life. You can just log in with your Wikimedia identity, and that's great. Okay, so this pilot that we did was successful. We got very positive feedback from learners. The skills taught were described as helpful. So we decided to proceed with this program. However, we were not entirely happy with the Moodle platform. So we switched to another free software learning management system platform called OpenEdX. OpenEdX. And WikiLearn, that you can see now, WikiLearn is available for you to use right now, and we're going to take a tour, is now running not on Moodle, but on OpenEdX. Also free software. And it was important for us to enable content translation. Like I said, we wanted to enable people to take a course and translate it. OpenEdX did not support that, so we paid to have that custom developed. We added this feature to OpenEdX, and now it does support content translation through Meta. So you can take your course and say, I want this to be translated, and it sends the whole course content onto Meta, to be translated on Meta the way we are used to translating things on Meta, and then once it's translated, it is collected back onto the OpenEdX platform so that you can have your course in the translated language. And we specifically are excited about having materials not authored in English, because on Meta, you start with English and then you translate to other languages. But that's, of course, colonial. We don't want that. We want, if there's an amazing course developed in Georgian or Chinese, we want to be able to translate it to other languages, maybe through English for practical reasons, but you know, we want to be able to benefit from excellent teaching materials, whatever language they were originally created in. So yeah, so that's a feature that's available. I briefly want to touch on why not Wikiversity, because sometimes people ask me that. Why not Wikiversity? Why did we not choose Wikiversity? The short answer is Wikiversity is not a good fit for our purpose, despite its name. Wikiversity is MediaWiki software, right? It's the same software that runs Wikipedia. It was never meant to run courses, to be a teaching environment. MediaWiki is not meant to be a teaching environment. It doesn't have a concept of a learner, of an assignment, of private homework, any of that. None of that exists on Wikiversity. And so it doesn't have the concept of enrolling to a course. It doesn't have grading facilities. It doesn't have a private inbox for the learner. It doesn't integrate smoothly with video calls. It doesn't support quizzes and other things we may want to use, etc., etc. Right now, some people have built all kinds of JavaScript hacks that do some of this on Wikiversity. We don't think it's a good fit for purpose still. We just don't think it matches up to a professional learning management system that was designed to do that from the get-go. And finally, you may want to ask, okay, so Wikiversity is not good enough. Why not build these features in Wikiversity? That's our project, right? Right. But A, we don't get to decide that. I mean, this was a community development project, this learning management system. We are not empowered to decide to invest millions, and it will be millions, in building features into Wikiversity. Secondly, with mature software solutions that already do what we need to do, choosing to invest millions into a platform that doesn't do what we want to do will just delay the platform by years, will make us make all the mistakes that OpenEdX has already made and fixed. We will have to kind of learn the hard way. It just doesn't make sense as an investment. And finally, Wikiversity, I don't know if you've noticed, is not a thriving project. It's not a successful project in any language. And the majority of the content that does exist on Wikiversity, the majority of decent courses that exist on Wikiversity are solo works written by one person. So it doesn't also seem to be benefiting from the wiki model. In other words, I bluntly tell you, I don't think Wikiversity itself is a successful project. I don't think it is good at what it wants to do. Some of our projects work extremely well, and some of them don't. So for our purposes, for learning management system, we picked an existing free software solution, and let's take a quick tour. So, WikiLearn lives, confusingly, at the address learn.wiki. Learn.wiki. Let's go there right now. So this is what it looks like. And in the homepage, I'll enlarge it a bit. In the homepage, you can see the selection of currently available courses. You can switch to another language if you like, and the interface immediately changes. Not all languages are supported yet. We're working on it. And you can pick a course to take. For example, we turned our Wikimania speaker guidebook that we made for Wikimania 2021, which is basically just a little tutorial on public speaking, on how to prepare a public talk. We turned that into a short course, and you can just click on it. You can see the table of contents of the course, and you can decide that you want to take the course. In my case, I'm already registered to the course, so it says resume course, but if you go, it'll offer you to enroll in the course. It's just a click, it's free, you click it, you're in the course, and this is what it looks like. There's an introduction page here. You just click next. You see here already some kind of question. You can answer the question. Yes, next. These are, oh, I'm sorry, I'm on module 8, that's why it's so, I'm on the, at the end, yes, module 1, yeah. Module 1, yes. So this is the beginning, there's some content, there are some pictures, there's explanations. At the end of the explanations, there's like a little exercise, and you can take the exercise. I'll show you a more interactive course, which is my partnership building course. Here, you can also go straight to the content. So here you have little video segments. For example, from the partnership course, this is the segment on what is a partnership and what isn't a partnership. You can see there's a video here, a 17-minute video.
Our first topic,
right, you can just start. And I want you to notice that there are subtitles to the video, just like on the edX.org site, if you know it, or Coursera or other sites like that. So there are full subtitles so that you can follow along. You can put them on Google Translate if you need to, and you can use them to translate the course into other languages. You can change the speed as well. And after you watch the video, there's like a comprehension question to show that you have understood this particular concept that was taught in this particular video. Yeah, so that's what it looks like to take a course, basically. There's a lot more to show here, but this will do for now. And I wanted you to take a quick look also at the studio. The studio is the authoring environment. That's where you develop courses. And so this is the studio. I'm an admin on the site, so I see all the courses. But when you author a course, you will see the course that you develop. And we can go to this course, for example, on partnership building. Yes, hello. Yes, and now you see that you see it in a different outline. It lets you look at the content you have. Let's go here, for example, the thing we just saw. What is a partnership? So you can see it shows me the video, etc. But you see I have an edit button here. So this is where I change my course or create my course or add new things to my course. Here you see it has add new component. I can add a bit of HTML. I can add a problem. I can add a video, etc. Just to give you an idea, so it's not completely abstract, what it would look like to create content here. Obviously, you need to put some time into learning how to use this thing, and we, the community development team, are supporting people who want to develop content on the platform. So I only have like 3 minutes left, so I'll just say that looking ahead, there are some things we need to figure out, especially governance. Because obviously when we allow people to use the discussion forums here, etc., there will come the problem of abuse and spam and needing to do something about it. And right now I'm the only admin on the platform, but that is not sustainable. And once, I don't know, learners are learning on the platform in Turkish and someone is abusing the system in Turkish, we need someone who speaks Turkish to notice it and to do something about it. So clearly, in other words, we need volunteer admins on this platform, just like on wikis. So that's clear enough, but how exactly, you know, who do we appoint as admins? Does the community elect them? For how long? How do we remove admins? These are open questions. It's a new platform. We need to discuss it. So I'm going to start a public conversation about it in the coming weeks. After I finish my next conference, I will start a public conversation about it, and you can all help me figure out how to appoint volunteer admins to the platform. Another question is, do we need some distinction on the platform between kind of verified, complete, up-to-date courses and all kinds of efforts that are, you know, in progress, under construction, so that people who want to, you know, take a course and don't want to be stuck in some half-complete course can tell the difference. It seems to me we need some distinction like that, but that again creates the thorny problem of who decides a course is complete, who decides a course is up to date. Again, I think it's a community thing. We need to figure out how, as a community, as multiple communities, how we curate the content on the platform. And I will have a public conversation about it, so, you know, we don't have to solve it right now. I just wanted your input, and we're out of time, so just let me know, just write to me. You can find me through the Telegram, etc. What topics you would be interested in taking courses on. You can already go to learn.wiki and see what's already there, but it's not a lot. So we're still developing a lot of courses. There are at least 7 courses right now being developed that you cannot see on the site yet. One of them, for example, is called Assess Your Digital Risk. It's from the foundation. It's about personal safety online. But there will be others coming this year. But I'm interested to hear what you want good, structured training on, what you would like a real course on, related to Wikimedia in some way. Yes, I mean, if you have trouble with your advanced calculus at university, that's a different matter. But Wikimedia-related skills. And also, if you want to teach some courses, if there's something you feel you would like to develop curriculum for, in whatever language, I'm very interested in hearing from you. So for now, you can take an available course, you can translate one of the available courses into your language, you can write to us if you want to develop curriculum yourself. You cannot just do it on the platform yet, because we don't have governance. I don't want to just allow anyone to write anything in any language yet, but write to us and we can give you permission. And tell your colleagues, go back to your communities and tell your colleagues that this thing exists and is waiting to be used. Thank you for your attention. Wow, just on time.
Is this a battery?
Yeah, this is sharp. Do you need it? It's a Lenovo.
Not really.
Does that work for you?
Oh, maybe not. Still one of these waters.
Hello, everyone. I think we'll get started then. Hello, I'm Chris Schilling. Good to see everybody. So I am a program officer at the Wikimedia Foundation supporting funding needs for the CEE Central Asia region. And I'm here today just to talk a little bit about what funding we do in this region and also to provide an overview of our funding programs. I know many of you have received funds or are managing funds yourself. I see some of you in the audience right now. But this presentation is also aimed at folks who may be wanting to apply for funding and may have some questions about how to get started with that process. So part of today I'll be talking a little bit about that, about how to get started and what first steps you might want to take in thinking about applying for funding from the Wikimedia Foundation. So let's get started. So again, in this overview, I'll be covering three main things. I'll be talking a little bit about what are some of the projects and things that we fund in the region right now or recently. I'll talk about what are our primary funding programs that we maintain on our team, the Community Resources team at the Wikimedia Foundation. And again, if you're interested in funding, I'll be answering some questions about how you might get started with that process. So what do we fund? I've collected a few highlights of recent initiatives that we have funded through our funding programs. I'll first start off with talking about some work that Wikimedia User Group Georgia has done by starting their most recent Wiki Club. And in this club, they not only provided some initial training and support for their community members there and kind of the surrounding communities as well, but also provided some computing equipment for them to have some resourcing to provide to students and to other community members interested in learning how to edit and contribute to Georgian Wikimedia projects. I also want to highlight a recent initiative by Wikimedia Czech Republic, Senior Wiki City, which is an extension of some of the programs they do with seniors write Wikipedia, and also an extension of a local sort of events, European Heritage Days. So in this event, they supported older adults to go out and document natural and cultural heritage sites in some localities in the Czech Republic. And so one of their images is right up top there for you to see. I really like this one. And then finally, the last example I'll highlight is a recent initiative through one of our newer funding programs, the Wikimedia Alliances Fund. We awarded a grant to the Investigative Journalists NGO in Armenia. And their program is focused on providing skills and doing training with students where they will provide them some provide some training on graphic design, particularly in the areas of animation and building infographics to help supplement educational articles on Armenian Wikipedia projects, Armenian Wikimedia projects. And the goal with this program is to help develop the overall quality of those articles and to make them more accessible to audiences in Armenia and elsewhere. So you may be asking, what is exactly eligible for funding? What can I get funding for? Or what can I do with Wikimedia Foundation funding programs? There's quite a lot of things. I'm not going to be able to list them all here, but I did want to provide some initial examples, some of which will be familiar to you, some which you may surprise you. But we fund certainly affiliate annual plans and general activities that affiliates are doing on a yearly basis. We also support local events related to campaigns, such as Wiki Loves Earth or Wiki Loves Monuments. We support conferences at different levels, local, regional, thematic, international. And we also support empirical research about the Wikimedia movement or about specific projects themselves as well. So those are some types of activities, but you may also ask, well, when it comes to my budget, what is okay to include? What can I actually, ask money for from the foundation? Again, there's quite a lot of things, and I'll talk a little bit more about this in a moment, but we try to keep quite an open mind to different circumstances and conditions that you might need to pursue goals with your communities. So some examples include things like the kind of working space, prizes, outreach work that you may be doing for editathons, workshops, contests, campaigns. We fund data costs that help support access and participation when events are primarily happening online, where the cost of being online is prohibitively expensive in some communities. We support travel for organizers and participants to actually get to events when they need to be, when the travel is quite far. We also support some equipment and technology needs, especially when there's a plan for the maintenance and sharing of that. So, for instance, like a small number of laptops for an organization that might be able to be prepared to share those with community members. And then for organizations that have office space, rent and utility costs as well. Compensation is also something we can fund broadly in our funding programs as well. So compensation for a number of well-defined roles that don't replace volunteer activities in your community are things that we have routinely provided compensation around. So these include things like project managers, graphic designers. If you need to have childcare, we can pay for childcare. We can also support translation for your events as well. Wikimedia in residence roles are, increasingly popular. So these are something that we want to support and compensate individuals to do in conjunction with partners. But I think most importantly is, of all the kind of examples I've put together for this presentation, the most important thing I want you to take away, I think, from this is that we're quite open to thinking beyond kind of whatever is written here. We mostly want to understand what is happening in your context and what your situational needs are to basically make, to help you get the funding you need to achieve the goals that you set out in your proposal. So don't take the list here as a closed list. We want to talk with you and learn more from you about what budget items or what particular expenses are going to be critical to achieving the goals you have. So that leads me then into talking about our funding programs a little bit. So in the community resources team, we maintain three buckets of funding programs. The first is the Wikimedia Community Fund, which I think most folks here will be most familiar with. And it's the one that I think most people will be applying for because it contains all of the funding programs that we have historically maintained at the foundation for small grants, kind of individual projects, and also annual plans for organizations. We also maintain another funding program that's relatively newer called the Wikimedia Alliances Fund. This is a newer program that's intended to be for organizations that are traditionally outside the movement, but may have some alignment or connection to Wikimedia projects or principles and values of the Wikimedia movement. But maybe their primary focus isn't on Wikimedia projects per se. Lastly, we have a research fund. The technology fund actually isn't available yet. So I won't be talking about that today, but the research fund is primarily focused on supporting empirical research about Wikimedia communities and projects. So when the goal is to do basic research or apply certain kinds of applied research about those topics, we can support time and compensation for the research and outreach that might be necessary to accomplish that, to answer those research questions. So I'm going to be talking mostly about these two funds today, although if there are questions about the research fund, I'm happy to take those at the end of my talk today. So the Wikimedia Community Fund is basically split into three kinds of applications. One is for rapid funds, for folks who have received rapid grants before. This is almost exactly the same program with a different application. But the idea is for rapid funds, if you are applying for a single event or maybe a small series of events that are relatively low cost, between about $500 to $5,000 USD, this is going to be the funding program that we recommend you consider. We have the program is open throughout the year, so you can apply for rapid funds at any time. And we usually try to get decisions to you in about 45 days. The rounds do have a set schedule. So we recommend that you take a look at the schedule on Meta for rapid funds to know kind of when is the right time for you to apply. The next is the conference and event funds. If you are interested in running a local conference or a larger one, I would put you in touch with my colleague, Chen, who is the manager for the program or the program officer. But yes, if you generally want to help people gather, to network, to present achievements and outcomes that have been happening in your community, this is a great fund for you to consider. And then finally, the General Support Fund is the funding program we recommend for affiliates who have larger sets of programs that they require funding to implement. So think about if you're an affiliate who has maybe a set of community programs, but also a set of programs focused on advocacy efforts, and then also a set of GLAM efforts as well. We have been able to fund these sorts of separations of programs, as well as larger kind of strategic plans that organizations have presented to us. And I think the important thing about the General Support Fund is that in the past year, we've been able to not only support single-year grant agreements, but also multi-year grant agreements for longer-term and more complex kinds of projects. So I've gone over this a little bit, but who should apply for the Wikimedia Community Fund? If you've received funds from the foundation before, this is generally going to be the place you're going to want to apply for funding. If you're an affiliate, or if you're a group of Wikimedia volunteers, or if you're an individual contributor or organizer, this is probably going to be the place where you're going to look for funding. If you're a first-time applicant, in not all, but many cases, we do generally recommend you think about applying for a rapid fund first before considering other funding programs. Importantly, all of the funding programs in the community fund are unrestricted. So when you receive funding at any level, during the course of your grant, you have discretion to change how you spend your funds based on changes in your circumstances or changes in priorities. We understand that when you propose a grant or a project, for a number of factors, you may not be able to do all the things that you thought you would be able to do, or you may have a different idea for how to better spend those funds. We want you to have discretion over making those decisions because we trust you have better knowledge about what the best use of those funds are to help fulfill your goals. So we want you to know that you don't actually need to get permission from us to change how you spend funds during your funding period. And then jumping back to the Wikimedia Alliances Fund, again, organizations that are outside the movement but may have some connection or interest in supporting the movement in some way are a good fit for this program. So one thing I've heard from many affiliates, for example, is they have a lot of partners partners that they may be interested in working with, but may not have capacity to kind of offer support, at least not this time. But they want to help encourage them to get involved with the movement in some way. This is a good place to kind of direct them if they are kind of interested and willing to do independent work in relation to the movement, and you have some kind of relationship with them. So Wikimedia Alliances Fund is, I think, a good place to direct them in those cases. A couple other notes about the Alliances Fund. If you have in this program, we can fund very much the same sorts of activities as we do during the community fund, so there's not a lot of differences in what sorts of activities or what kinds of projects we fund in the Alliances Fund. It's more about who is applying. We also support a rapid fund and general support fund equivalent sort of procedure or application in the Alliances Fund, so organizations can apply for a smaller grant as well as larger grants depending on the scope of their work. And these funds are also unrestricted. Just a brief overview of the procedures around how decisions get made in both of these programs. So first, I, the program officer, will work with grantees or applicants to help prepare their application. Applicants will then submit a final version of their application at the time of a deadline. After we receive that, regional committees who help support the review process around and decision-making around proposals will take a first review of the proposals, and then after that we'll provide feedback to applicants. And then after that feedback has been received, we usually put on the talk page the proposals that are on Meta. Applicants are able to respond to that feedback, perhaps to clarify details or to answer questions. And they can also say, oh, we actually would like to make some changes to our proposal based on the feedback we've received. That's something that we welcome and encourage applicants to do if they feel like they could make a stronger proposal based on the feedback the committee is providing. So applicants have a chance to make changes and revisions to their proposal during the review process each round. So applicants can adjust the proposal if needed, and that last point. And then finally, there's a final review and decision-making period at the end of each round that I conduct with the regional committee. So if you are applying or thinking about applying for the first time, you might be asking yourself, where do I get started? This is a lot of information. I don't know what to do. So my goal here is to provide some initial steps that I think might be helpful for you to consider for getting started. So I provided 4 ideas for what you could do to help orient yourself and to start thinking about, where to get funding, or what ideas you might be able to get funding for. The first thing is, if you're in this region, to schedule a conversation with me. I'm the regional program officer for the Central and Eastern Europe region, and so I'm really delighted to be able to talk to folks at an early stage where maybe they're not sure about their idea, maybe it's not fully formed yet, but they're just trying to get a sense of, is this something that I can do? Is this something I can actually make a proposal for? Maybe you have some of the problems you have in mind that you want to get funding for, but you don't know how to address them. I can help you think that through. It's what I like talking with applicants about quite a lot. So conversations like that are where I encourage folks to get started. Secondly, if you are looking to learn certain skills, or if you have skills to offer to the movement, kind of similar to Asaf's presentation on the WikiLearn space, in our grant making space, we have a Let's Connect space that's supported by one of my colleagues, Jessica Stevenson. Jessica has built a space for organizers around the movement and various grantees with expertise to be able to share what skills they know, and also to declare, hey, I'd really appreciate being connected with somebody who might be able to teach me about these other skill areas that might support me in running my grant or implementing my proposals. So I encourage first-time grantees to sign up on the Let's Connect space and to find people who might be able to help them out in certain areas. So actually, let's dive into these in a little more detail, because this is just supposed to be an overview slide. So yeah, in terms of scheduling a conversation, I have a page on Meta where folks can actually go into my calendar that I use for my work, and you can schedule a time to meet with me at any time. So please make use of this. Many grantees do. I really enjoy it. I enjoy making sure that applicants and grantees have kind of discretion and saying, hey, I would really like to meet with you, and can just set a meeting with me. So please make use of this space, or make use of this option. And yes, if you go, I forgot to mention this at the top of the presentation, but if you go into the program for the meeting and go to this presentation, you'll be able to get to the slide deck and get to all the links that you see underlined here if you want to check them out in more detail. As I was saying before, the Let's Connect space is where I encourage you to go if you would like to learn some skills that might be helpful in thinking about implementing a grant or preparing for a grant proposal. So here I have listed some of the skills that are available for folks to learn about, or some of the categories. But if you click the link I have here at the top, you'll be able to register for the space and start to get connected to other peers who might be able to help provide some guidance in these areas. I also encourage folks to look at the application, of course, the applications for grants, whether that's for the Rapid Fund program or conference and event funds or general support funds. We do offer these in several languages. So traditionally, historically, they've only been available in English, and whatever volunteers were able to translate. We've taken a lot more proactive steps to providing a lot of translations now. So please use these and share them with others in your community who might be wanting to learn more about what is it like to submit an application, what are you asked to talk about. And then finally, I encourage folks to actually draft either a partial or a full application and actually let me know about it before you would apply, because I really enjoy being able to give some preliminary feedback on your proposals around things that I think you're doing well and I think are particularly strong about the proposals that I read. and also to make recommendations for places where maybe some more clarity could be provided, or where I have some concerns, and I can bring those to your attention before it goes through a formal review process. So to the extent you can do that, and let me know, I often will provide feedback in like a Google Doc version of your proposal and send that back to you for you to, to check out and to potentially revise, or just so you have an idea of, what's working well in your proposal, and maybe where there might be concerns or things that could be improved. And also I can meet with you as well to have a discussion about it. It doesn't need to be only through text communication. So that's my overview, and go forth and apply if you would like to apply for funding. And ask me questions. Go ahead, Merdad.
Chris, thank you so much for this session. I have two questions. One's out of curiosity. Do all applications, all kinds of grants go through the regional committees, or is it just for the, even rapid grants, are they approved by the regional committees, or is that a different thing?
That's a good question. So we are in a process right now where in the general support funds for both Wikimedia Community Funds and the Alliances funds, those proposals are always reviewed with regional committees. For rapid funds, we are kind of gradually introducing those to regional committees and introducing, review processes that are much more lightweight than the general support fund, where, by comparison, the general support fund is like all hands on deck. Everybody is kind of reviewing it, with a, I say, fairly intensive process. The rapid fund process is intended to be much more lightweight, where only some of the committee will be involved with that in collaboration with the program officer. So it varies a little bit by region, because we've been sort of rolling out training and sort of introduction of, procedures around that program to regional committees. In this region, as of now, I am reviewing the proposals in the rapid fund program, but later this year and early next year, regional committees will have some involvement with the review process. Yeah, thanks, Merdad.
Could you please share with us a few more words about those research grants which you mentioned at the beginning?
Sure. What would you like to know more about?
About areas which you prefer to cover.
Well, so I actually don't have, my work is not actually involved in that program. So what I can say, though, is there are sort of a collaboration between our team and research teams of the foundation that support the review and sort of support processes around the research funds. But I don't think it's the case that there are kind of priority areas identified that must be funded, or that we are sort of requiring applicants to focus upon to be eligible for funding. I think what's more important is that the applicant is able to present a case for research that that has some set of informative research questions that might be helpful for a community, that might resolve an open question or a problem that that community faces, and that there's an appropriate set of research procedures and plan for analysis that's going to answer those questions, as well as some planning around how that information is going to be shared. So both in terms of the traditional kind of publication processes for research, but also shared within the movement in venues like this, for example. Sure.
Well, in my experience, a lot of the time when you have a community that's completely volunteer-based or organized, the 45 days that you talked about is just too much, too long, right? Oftentimes we have situations where the community decides kind of like, okay, let's do something in 2 weeks, and waiting for like a month and a half, maybe 2, to plan things out is just not realistic. So do you have any kind of micro grants or something like that that would bridge that kind of situation?
You wanted to add to the question?
Yeah. And if there is any way for Wikimedia Foundation, because we claim to be one movement, we are not like funder and fundees, is there a way to develop relation in which foundation actually gives support, financial support without people doing the administration? Like even if it's minor support, even if it's post festum support, any kind of support, just that it doesn't demand for everyone to learn the administration part, to handle the flux, to handle the meta pages, to handle its own banking system, because some people just didn't subscribe to this when they joined wikis, and they should be, especially for small projects, it's so much work.
Yeah, so these are related points for sure, because the administration that you're speaking to, Z, it does add to the time that's required for us to be able to review and process and actually get funding to applicants. I'm going to address these a little bit separately though, because there is enough distinction between the two of them. So to your question, I did want to, to your question. The question was, are there ways we can shorten the process because a 45-day period, isn't supportive for certain kinds of events and programs that, volunteers and organizers want to do? My answer to this, I think, is that, previously the Rapid Grants program used to be around a 30-day turnaround. And during that time, what we pretty consistently noticed is that even though that's what we had intended to happen, we were still getting grants out late. We were getting grants out to organizers after their start dates, after the 30-day period. And a lot of this is because the kind of exchange and kind of dialogue that we sometimes need to have around applications takes time, and sometimes the review process takes time as well. But yeah, that lag time between to support an actual exchange and discussion around that proposal can't always be done in a 30-day period where we can get the review done and also get clarity from the applicant around certain aspects of the application within a 1-month period. So that's the rationale for extending it. And I realize, though, that is going to impact some organizers' ability to plan and work and to do things more flexibly. I find it hard, though, to reconcile the needs around review and actually being able to interact with applicants, and also to allow some level of flexibility with for organizers to be able to implement things quickly. So yeah, that is a challenge.
I understand if you have a grant that's like $500 and more dollars, but if you have something for like 100, 200, like a little event, meetup, kind of little support.
Yeah.
I think it really should need that kind of long, super long overview and.
Yeah, ideally, I think there are certain administrative processes that wouldn't be needed for very small grants.
Instead of 45, why not make it 4 to 5 days? I know that would be
Impossible.
I mean, impossible, sure. Like if you have a really, like if you're building like a meeting with a library, and we just want to have some, food here and there, support somebody's tickets and so on. 100 euros, 2 people, I think could really review this within 4 to 5 days.
Yeah.
I don't know if this.
So we have to, unfortunately, we have to end things because I think we have a photo to get to. But I do want to acknowledge that quickly that the amount of work it actually takes to process a small grant, and the amount it takes to do a larger grant, there's a minimum level of work that is non-trivial and unavoidable because of the obligations that the foundation has as a grant maker based in the United States. We have obligations to do certain kinds of processing and paperwork. Otherwise, we're basically going to be out of compliance as a nonprofit and may not be able to do grant making if we choose to skip those steps. Now, I do want to follow up with some of you, though, about other options, but I'll have to do that after this talk. But let's wrap things up, and thank you all very much for coming today.